Welcome to Strawberry Stadium, a history-making night and a capacity crowd, a little rain during the afternoon, but it should be a great night for college football as an 18-year absence of football returns to the campus here in Hammond, Louisiana. Long count now for quarterback Martin Hankins, who will hand off the first running play, and it is Ray Perkins running off the left side. It will be Brian Shepard. Here it is. Oh, he's hit it pretty well. Did he get it there? And he did. And here's the quarterback, Pope, thrown over the middle, picked off. Running with the football to the 20, the 10, the 5, diving in for the touchdown. Interception for the score. Here's a pump to the right, pass to the sideline. He's got an open man, and it's a touchdown. The Lions get their first score from offense, and it is Shawnee Francis to win your opener after that long of a layoff, to win a game here at Strawberry Stadium. Everybody's got to be happy. Look, you think he just won the Super Bowl, and they feel like it down there too.
This has been the dream of a lot of folks over the last 18 years.
Hello everyone, and welcome to a look at Southeastern Football Season 2. I'm Mark Verbois, and over the next half hour, we're going to take a look at the upcoming season for Southeastern Football. We're going to talk to those players, fans, and coaches to get their reaction to the 2004 season. We're also going to take a look at sophomore quarterback Martin Hankins as he prepares for his second season as the Lions signal caller. And a lot has happened since we last saw the Lions on the field last season. So we're going to look at how those players spent the summer working out. And later on, we're going to talk to head coach Hal Mumme as he breaks down the 2004 schedule for us. But first, football returned to Southeastern after an 18-year absence. Fans from all over the North Shore could not have been more excited to support their Lions. And now let's take a look back at that memorable season.
I spent half my life on that football field out there, either playing or coaching or what have you, and I'm so happy to see it come back. I don't know what to say, really.
It may have taken 18 years to bring football back to Southeastern, but it only took a few minutes to organize a tailgate party for nearly 10,000 fans. Fans began arriving on campus some 24 hours before kickoff and were forced to brave Mother Nature's elements. But that didn't seem to matter. Fans were there for one reason, and that was to see the Lions play some football. So play football they did. On August 30th, 2003, the Lions welcomed the Boll Weevils from Arkansas Monticello to Strawberry Stadium. At 7:09 p.m., Boll Weevils kicker Wes Baker put the ball in the air. After a little Lion trickery, Keelam Davis returned the ball out past the 40-yard line. And just like that, Southeastern football was underway. After each team had an offensive possession, the game was forced into a 24-minute weather delay. When play resumed, the Lions fell behind to Arkansas Monticello, and it wasn't until midway through the third quarter when the Lions got their first touchdown. Vernon Russell picked off a Monticello pass and returned it 29 yards for the touchdown that gave the Lions the lead 16-10. But the Boll Weevils did not give up. Quarterback Corey Allred hooked up with tight end Devin Stewart on a 15-yard TD pass. And just like that, the Boll Weevils retook the lead 17-16. Monticello held the lead till midway through the final quarter when true freshman quarterback Martin Hankins hooked up with wide receiver Shawnee Francis on a 22-yard touchdown pass. And just like that, the Lions had scored their first offensive touchdown and retaken the lead 22-17. The Lions defensive unit then took the field and shut down the Boll Weevils offense to preserve the win and give the 10,000 fans in attendance something to rejoice about. Coach Hal Mumme received the ice water treatment and was packed off the field on his players' shoulders. Lions football was back, and it had its first win in 18 years.
Well, I think the great thing about the Monticello game is that we won and we finally got it over with, because it was kind of a long night with the rain delay and everything, and it had been a long build-up to it. I was real proud of our kids because they really responded to the pressure of winning that first game.
Now that the first win of the season was in the bag, the Lions faced off against NAIA Lambuth University, and they had to prepare quickly for the Eagles since the game was to be played on Thursday night. The Lions jumped out to an early lead on the 40-yard Hess Crockett field goal, but Lambuth came roaring back as the quarterback Mac Davenport hooked up with wide receiver Jonathan Finch on an 82-yard touchdown to give the Eagles a 7-3 lead. The Lions turned right around, and Hankins hooked up with wideout Chris Johnson on a 9-yard touchdown pass, and with that, Southeastern took a 9-7 lead. And then the defense took over as the Lions rose up and held the Eagles to only 3 more points the rest of the game. while Southeastern went on to score 13 more, 6 on a 25-yard pass from Hankins to Shoney Francis. And with that, the Lions were off to a 2-0 start on the young season.
Lambeau's a pretty good team. You know, they played for the national championship. They won their conference, and NAIA football is a lot better than most people give it credit for. And like I said, we only had 4 days to prepare for a pretty good football team, an experienced football team. And you know, I think the big difference in that game was our defense. They really stepped up and played, and then we made a few plays on offense.
After starting out with their first 2 games at home, it was time to take the air raid attack on the road. The Lions headed off to Arkadelphia, Arkansas to take on Division II power Henderson State. Early on, it looked as if the road would be unkind to the visiting Lions as Henderson State bit a 14-0 lead en route to a 28-14 halftime score. Henderson State continued to add points, scoring once in the third quarter to lead 35-14. It wasn't until the fourth quarter that the Lions offense woke up and got into the game. Martin Hankins threw 2 late touchdowns on an 8-yard completion to Jeffrey Howell, which got the Lions back within striking distance at 41-28. And the second, a 30-yard strike to Brian Shepard that pulled the Lions to within 6. The Lions then recovered the onside kick and began to drive towards the end zone. But with only 16 seconds left in the game, Hankins was picked off, sealing the game for the Reddies.
I was really proud of the way we came back at the end. We had a chance to win it right at the end. Got a couple onside kicks, and I was proud of the way the kids competed. I wasn't necessarily proud of the way we played.
Not only did the loss sting the young team, they then began the toughest part of their schedule as they traveled to face Division I-A Troy State. The Lions' offense never really could get on track as they missed on some early opportunities and fell to the Trojans 28-0 and were now 2-2 on the season. The lone bright spot for the Lions in the Troy State game actually came as the Lions were leaving the stadium.
Well, the main thing about the Troy game is we got the $100,000 check and brought it back. So Troy's a great team. They were a 1A team. They beat Marshall the week after they beat us, and I thought we accounted for ourselves pretty well. It was 28-0, but we had a couple of touchdowns called back, so it could have been a lot closer game. Had a few breaks gone our way.
Things did not get much better the next week, but the offense did manage to put some points on the board. But the Bobcats proved to be more experienced, and by the time the game was over, Texas State had gained over 580 yards, and the Bobcats handed the Lions their 3rd straight loss of the season, 38-17.
We really felt like that was one of our worst games last year. We didn't play well. Martin didn't necessarily have a very good game. We didn't play well at outside linebacker, and really, you know, the game, they got a score late on us, but it was a fairly close ball game all the way. But we didn't play our better game.
I remember balls flying everywhere. I mean, we were throwing the ball around. They were. I mean, it was a real exciting game. We believe we put up a lot of passing yards, you know, both teams combined. I mean, it was my type of football game, and just by Coach Mummy being over there on the sideline was kind of like just the icing on the cake.
As if having lost 3 straight games wasn't bad enough, the Lions returned home to find the number 1 ranked team from Division I-AA waiting on them. The McNeese State Cowboys built a 24-0 lead on the Lions en route to a 58-20 Cowboy win.
I was proud of the way we came back in the second half. It wasn't one of our better coaching games. I did a poor job calling the game, I thought, and I think we can do better this year against them.
It was real exciting because the whole city of Hammond got behind Southeastern with the new program, you know, Coach Mummy bringing everything to them, and it was a lot of fun for us as players because it was a loud, packed crowd.
The Lions then went back on the road to face the Northwestern State Demons, in which looked to be a good game at the end of the first quarter. The Lions found themselves only down 14-12 and playing very respectively against a much tougher opponent. But late in the first half, it appeared the inner demon in Northwestern woke up and decided to play some football. Those Demons accounted for 31 points in the second quarter. And by the time the gun sounded, the final was a very disappointing 87-27 Lions loss, their 5th in a row, and the season record now stood at 2-5. With half the season over and the Lions having lost 5 games in a row, the team returned home to face Weber International for homecoming. The Lions exploded for over 600 total yards and 68 points. The Lions scored early and often as Martin Hankins passed for over 400 yards and 6 touchdowns. Outside of the offensive explosion, the big highlight for the Lions came when kick returner Keelan Davis returned a kickoff 98 yards late in the first quarter, put the Lions up 14-3 en route to a 58-point win.
The great thing about our guys I was proud of is they didn't let the blowout at Northwestern get them down. They came back, they practiced hard, they were embarrassed, and they didn't want to be embarrassed in front of their home folks. They wanted to prove that they could knock somebody out too, and so they did, and it was a great homecoming win.
The next 2 weeks, the Lions would be on the road. First off, the Lions traveled to San Francisco, California to face St. Mary's College. The Lions never really got it going like they had the week before, and the Gales handed them a disappointing 33-27 loss to send them 3-6 on the season. The very next week, the Lions traveled to Lorman, Mississippi to face SWAC power Alcorn State. The Lions played tough all game, but in the end, the Braves pulled out a 3-point win, and even with the close loss, the Lions showed they were starting to show some signs of life. Now that the road schedule was done, the Lions could turn their focus to finishing up the season at home with its last 2 games at Strawberry Stadium. Jacksonville University came to town in hopes of catching the Lions off their game, but one could tell very early on that wasn't going to happen. The Lions came out and were determined to put the Dolphins away early. Southeastern led 33-16 at the half. The Lions went on to win the game 43-23 and improved to 4-7.
I was just proud of the way our kids bounced back and played hard. Jacksonville had one of the leading rushers in the nation. I thought our defense did a nice job containing him, and we were able to put together a lot of offense, and it turned out to be a pretty good victory.
The Lions finished up the 2003 schedule at home as they welcomed the Prairie View A&M Panthers to Strawberry Stadium for one final game. Southeastern jumped all over the Panthers and led 44-3 at halftime en route to a 64-10 blowout. Martin Hankins threw for over 350 yards and 4 touchdowns in only 3 quarters of work. The win capped off a successful first season in which the Lions went 5-7 and notched the 4th best record in NCAA history of a first-year team.
Prairie View didn't have a very good football team, and our guys just basically took care of business, and it was pretty much over with by halftime.
All total, 56,377 Lions fans turned out to watch the team play their 6 home games. Southeastern averaged over 9,000 fans a game. Since Strawberry Stadium only seats 7,400, the Lions led the nation in attendance per capacity. And with that win over Prairie View A&M, the Lions finished the season with a 5-7 record. And nearly 60,000 fans came to see the Lions play at home. With a fan base like that, a ticket at Strawberry Stadium was hard to come by. But one individual who had the best seat in the house and didn't even have to buy a ticket was true freshman quarterback Martin Hankins. Hankins set numerous NCAA passing records, and his coaches know that Martin has just scratched the surface on what he's capable of doing. We recently caught up with Martin Hankins and got his perspective on his career here at Southeastern.
Just days before the historic 2003 football season, Martin Hankins was named starting quarterback for the Lions, a position that carried an enormous amount of pressure. However, where some people fold under pressure,
He's got a receiver, but he threw it a little short, and it's picked.
others strive, as Hankins not only led the Lions to a commendable 5-7 season, but he also broke 21 school, state, and national records.
For the touchdown.
I really try not to keep up with that. I just try to keep my head focused on trying to really go out there and just find a way to win.
Breaking records is nothing new to Hankins. He holds several Mississippi 5A career passing records, twice named Hattiesburg High's most valuable player, and was selected as the Hattiesburg Mississippi Americans Male Athlete of the Year. Now as the second football season approaches, the pressure is on yet again as the Lions face another rough schedule. Hankins is prepared for the trials ahead by taking advantage of a particularly tough offseason.
I had a decent year last year, and I expect, myself, I worked hard in the offseason trying to get better and tried to gain a little weight, and just getting to know the receivers and the linemen and blitzes and watching film and such, and I feel comfortable going into this year.
During off-season workouts, Hankins has gained over 15 pounds and picked up his overall speed.
We're up running at 6 in the morning, and that lasts for an hour, and then you go work out, which my time to work out is 2 in the afternoon, and one day you got legs and even more stuff, and the next day you got a lot of upper body stuff and a lot of Olympic power type lifts that are really tough. They're tough and wear you out, and then you kind of got, with us, we have Pascal, our skill players, and it's really a full day for all of us.
He was a pretty light guy last year. He just come straight out of high school and hadn't really ever lifted weights or anything. He was pretty much a football and baseball player in high school. And so I think the off season's he's one of the people that the off season will really have made a big difference in.
Coach Hal Mumme has high hopes for a star quarterback who he thinks will be better than ever.
I just want him to continue to improve, and obviously we'd like to have a winning season, and so for us to do that, Martin's got to have an outstanding year.
The Lions will depend on more than just physical strength against their opponents. The offseason has allowed players to strengthen their relationship as a team as well.
We're getting our communication along even better than we did last year, and we're being able to communicate when we see something You know, it's not like we have to give each other hand signals anymore. We just kind of know what to do, and that's, you know, that makes me feel comfortable and makes them feel comfortable as well.
The 2004 season looks to be a memorable one for both fans and players alike. As of right now, it is impossible to predict how well the Lions will do, but one thing is certain. Quarterback Martin Hankins will not fold under pressure, but likely will strive to victory.
I just want to get out there and try to help us beat the McNeese States and the Texas States and the Sam Houston States, because that's who we're going to be competing with in the Southland Conference next year. And really, we just want to just try to get better and make it to the playoffs this year, and that's my main goal, is to try to lead this team to the playoffs and just try to get there and get as many wins as we can.
Looks like Martin Hankins has put a lot of work into getting ready for the upcoming season. This summer, many of the players stayed here in Hammond and worked out in preparation for the upcoming season. The Lions are preparing physically as well as mentally for the rigors of a long, hard season.
Probably our #1 recruit this year has been Matt Walter.
Matt Walter? Who's that?
Oh, you talking about the English professor? He taught me. Yeah, I had a class with him.
Matt who? Who is Matt Walter? It doesn't ring a bell. I don't know.
You may not know who Matt Walter is, but he sure plays a major role in the success of Southeastern football. Walter doesn't jump up and down at practice or bark out signals on a Saturday afternoon in Strawberry Stadium. He does most of his work under the cover of early morning darkness or tucked away inside of a hot, muggy gym.
Yeah, I wish they could all, the people in the stands could see what they go through, before the season starts, at 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning. And, that takes a lot of dedication on their part to get up that early. They know what it takes to win. They know where they were last year and where they are now and how much they've improved.
You win championships in the off season. In the fall, you just win games. Last year, that's what we were doing. We're just trying to win games. But if you're going to try to win a championship, then you got to do that all year round.
To show their dedication this offseason, most of the team stayed in Hammond and voluntarily worked out to help prepare for the upcoming rigors of a long, hard season. And according to Coach Walter, the work is starting to pay off.
Strength-wise, we've gained about 700 pounds on our team of body weight, which is a huge improvement gaining muscles.
One of those players who showed the most improvement this offseason is linebacker and Hammond native Marvin Jones. Jones can now bench press 450 pounds. In fact, Marvin has improved so much this offseason that Walter has labeled him as one of the offseason's biggest improvements.
Marvin's improved a lot. He's lost about 18 pounds of body weight. He looks really good. Last year, when I got here, you could see, his midsection, the rolls. Now you can see muscle. You can see, he's got a six-pack, big old arms. He's gotten faster, gotten a lot better shape. He's going to be able to play every play.
Coach Walter knows that helping the football Lions improve is a long-term plan, and that isn't something that's going to happen overnight.
To be the best in the state, to be have the best weight room, to show the best numbers, show the best improvement, and just gain recognition for this school. I want to win a national championship.
So this season, when you come to Strawberry Stadium and watch the Lions handle their opponents with ease, know one thing. Without the help of one 5'10", 220-pound man guiding the off-season program, none of Southeastern's success would be possible.
He's just awesome at what he does, and he really has a great rapport with the players. But he has that ability to have a rapport with them while he's also getting the most out of them each day. It's probably the most difficult coaching job because it's not the one where you get any of the glory. It's the one where you do all the work, nobody ever knows about it. There's not any fans showing up at 5 in the morning to watch him run.
And now that the season is ready to start, that doesn't mean Walter can go on vacation, because in Matt Walter's gym, there's always something to keep him busy.
Once the season starts, I'll take, of course, everybody that plays, they'll work out 3 days a week. A lot of people like to call it maintenance phase, but I think during the season you can improve. You either improve or you get worse. There's no maintaining.
When head coach Hal Mumme came to Southeastern a little over 2 years ago, he didn't take over the football reins of past success. What he did do is build a team from the ground up that he hopes can be successful one day. And for anyone who spent time with the coach, knows that he views this year as a year for a lot of that success.
Our main goal for this season is to have a winning season and win more than we lose, and we play 11 games. And you know, if we can get off to a really fast start and by mid-season pretty much have that in the bag, then we'll readjust and try to make the playoffs.
Now that you know what the coach expects out of his team this coming fall, you have to remember there is another team on the other side of the ball trying to stop the Lions. But with a schedule that sees the Lions staying home for the entire month of October, the team hopes they can build on last year's success. Coach Mumme recently joined us and broke down the season's upcoming schedule and its opponents. Once again this year, the Lions open up the season against Arkansas Monticello. The Boll Weevils will travel to Hammond for a Thursday night game, which we played on September 2nd. In 2003, the Boll Weevils finished the season with a 4-7 record and went 3-6 in the Gulf South Conference. However, the Boll Weevils did finish the 2003 campaign with a respectable 3-3 road record, which goes to show that Coach Greg Raconis' team knows how to win on the road. The Boll Weevils averaged over 27 points a game, but their defense gave up 32 points a game. Like Southeastern, Arkansas Monticello likes to air it out on offense. Returning quarterback Corey Allred threw for 3,600 yards and 33 touchdowns while rushing for over 600 yards and 4 touchdowns. Allred returns to lead the Boll Weevils passing attack, which returns 2 of its top receivers from a year ago. On defense, the Boll Weevils returned 4 starters and 11 lettermen, including last year's leading tackler, DeMathis Leddit, who led the team with 73 total tackles.
Well, Monticello's a scary team to play first because they've got their quarterback was, you know, last year was kind of an unknown, and when he came into the game, it was fortunate for us that he broke his left hand, so he left the game halfway through. But he was really giving us a hard time. As it turned out, he became the player of the year in the Gulf South Conference. He played the rest of the year with a cast on his hand. And so this year, they're going to draw some confidence from the fact that they almost beat us last year and that he wasn't in the game the whole time. And just some confidence from the fact that he's played a whole season now and he'll be better.
In week 2, the Lions travel to Lake Charles to face McNeese State. The Cowboys returned 49 lettermen, including 5 offensive starters and 4 starters back from last year's defense. The Cowboys are led by quarterback Scott Pendarvis, who threw for nearly 2,200 yards and 18 TDs last year. The Cowboys also returned 4 of their 5 offensive linemen from a year ago to help protect Pendarvis. On defense, the Cowboys are led by 2-time Southland Conference All-Star defensive tackle John Paul Jones. Over the past 2 years, Jones has recorded 125 tackles and 7 sacks. Coach Tommy Tate brings the 39-12 record into this season and has taken the Cowboys to the Division I AA playoffs in each of his 4 years as the head man.
Well, we're excited about playing the Cowboys. We didn't have a good start against them last year. We played very poorly in the first half. We missed some opportunities to score that really would have made a big difference in the game. You know, I thought we came back and played well in the second half against them. If we can start the game the way we finished the game last year, we'll have a pretty good chance to stay with them. But they are a great outfit. We have to go to their place. I've been there before and you know, seen what their fans are like. But our team's never been there before, so it's going to be that'll be an adjustment factor for us. And you know, they're a great program. It's going to be on Fox Sports Southwest. It'll be regionally televised, so it'll be a huge game for us. It's one we're really pointing to.
They're going to be much improved. They have a lot of returning starters, and of course guys that have been through the wars before. And I expect them to be a much improved football team, and it should be a heck of a football game.
In week 3, the Lions face off against another familiar face from a year ago, when once again they travel to San Marcos, Texas to face Texas State. The Bobcats went 4-8 last year, and first-year coach Dave Baliff returns 8 starters from offense and 4 from defense. That offense is led once again by quarterback Barrick Neely, who last year led the Bobcats as he threw for over 3,200 yards and 21 TDs. The defense returns 4 players who each had over 65 tackles in the season, including middle linebacker David Simmons, who totaled 112 tackles and 3 sacks on the season. All in all, the Bobcats returned 33 lettermen from last year's squad.
It could be one of those games with how he may decide not to punt it ever on 4th down. You know, you really don't know what to expect when you see him, other than they'll be well coached and play hard.
They'll be a tough opponent. They were tough last year. Again, it's not a game where we played one of our better games, one of the early games, and Martin didn't have a real good night. We didn't play well offensively against those guys. I think we've got a better shot this year.
The last week of September, Sam Houston State comes to Hammond to face the Lions. The Bearcats are coming off a disappointing 2-9 season overall and finished tied for last in the conference with a 1-4 mark. The Bearcats offense averaged almost 20 points a game, but the problem was that the Bearcats defense gave up 37 points a game. The good news for the Bearcats is that Sam Houston State returns 10 starters to its offense, and 8 starters return to the defense side of the ball.
They'll be an improved team this year. They got a transfer quarterback from Texas A&M. Last year, part of the reason they were 2-9 was they just didn't play well at the quarterback position. Dustin Long moved there from A&M for his senior year, and Coach Randleman's got a history of every time he picks up an older, experienced quarterback from a Big 12 school, he usually does pretty good. So we're not expecting them to be the team that they were last year. We're expecting them to be much better than that.
In that ball game, don't. If you hire a babysitter, you better hire him for a long time that evening because it's have to take us a while before we get done.
The month of October finds the Lions in a friendly place. From October 2nd until October 30th, the Lions play 4 games, and all of them are at Strawberry Stadium. The first week of October, the Lions welcome Mississippi Valley State to Hammond. The days of Jerry Rice have long since left the Devils, as last year they went 2-9 overall and was shut out 3 times. The Devils only averaged 13 points a game on offense and gave up well over twice as many, as their defense yielded 32 points a game. The very next week, the Lions continue their homestand as they welcome Northern Colorado to town. The Bears, in their second season of 1AA football, will possess a tough matchup for the Lions.
Northern Colorado finished the season last year 19th, I believe, in one of the polls, and like you said, was 9-2. The only reason they didn't make the playoffs is because they're in transition. They weren't eligible for them. But they're a very talented team. They got one of the top receivers in the nation who's back, and they'll be a tough team.
The 7th week of the season, the Lions roll out the red carpet for Mercyhurst College from Erie, Pennsylvania. Mercyhurst has an enrollment of 3,400 and plays Division II football in the Great Lakes Athletic Conference. Last year, the Lakers finished 5-6 overall. This coming season, Mercyhurst returns 7 offensive players to their program and 4 on defense. After an off week, the Lions return home for the last game of the homestand as the Braves from Alcorn State come a-calling. Last year, the Braves finished the season 7-5 overall and 5-2, which left them tied for first in the SWAC East. Alcorn returns 42 lettermen along with star quarterback Donald Carey. Carey finished last year's season with over 2,800 passing yards and 24 touchdowns, while also rushing for 4 TDs on the ground. Alcorn State averaged over 30 points a game last year, but in turn gave up nearly 26 points a game on defense. Coach Johnny Thomas enters his 7th year on the Braves sideline, and having finished last season strong, winning their last 5 games, Coach Thomas feels he has the Braves pointed in the right direction for success. After 5 straight home games, it's time for the Lions to take their game back on the road. And the first week of November, they travel to Jacksonville, Florida to face the Jacksonville University Dolphins. Last season, the Dolphins finished 5-6. Jacksonville's offense averaged only 2 fewer points than their defense gave up. The Dolphins' approach to offense is a well-balanced attack, as last year they passed for 2,200 yards while rushing for nearly 2,100 yards. The Lions return home the second week of November to face Texas College. The Apaches program comes to town looking much like the Lions. Texas College is in its 2nd year of football after having been away from the gridiron for 40-plus years. The Apaches finished 7-3 last year and returned 5 offensive starters and 7 on defense. Texas College plays in the Central States Conference. The last week of the season sees the Lions traveling to Boiling Springs, North Carolina to face Gardner-Webb. The Bulldogs finished last year with an 8-4 record, losing 3 of those 4 games to nationally ranked teams. The Bulldogs finished the season 6-0 at home. Like Jacksonville University, Gardner-Webb presents a very balanced attack, having rushed for over 2,000 yards last year and passed for nearly 2,400 yards. Quarterback Nick Roberts returns to lead the Bulldogs offense. Last year, Roberts completed 60% of his passes and ended the season with 20 TD passes. On defense, the Bulldogs returned their leading tackler from a year ago in Mario Williams. Last year, Williams led the Bulldogs as he posted over 118 tackles and intercepted 3 passes. Overall, the schedule appears to be tougher for the upcoming season as the Lions continue to build their football tradition.
Well, I like it because it's a little more balanced than it was last year. Last year we kind of went from playing a 1A team like Troy State on the road to playing Weber International NAIA school here. And while we still have a couple of teams that are Division II or NAIA, most of the schedule, I think 8 of the schedule is 1AA opponents.
Well, there you have it. Now you know what the Lions are going to do for the upcoming season and what opponents they will face. I'm Mark Verbois. Have a good day and go Lions.
Welcome to